Hi, welcome back to Golf Training Hacks. So this is part 3 in the series of strengthening your takeaway. Now, as we've said, if you don't start in a good position, it's really tough to end in a good position. And that's especially true when you have sporting movements that have high velocity and high force placed on them. And that's the golf swing. It's a high velocity movement with a lot of force in it. So we have to start in a good position, and that starts with our address and our takeaway. So hip function is so important, as we mentioned, hip internal rotation in the takeaway. As you bring that club back, your rear hip is going into internal rotation and it's extending rearward, and you're putting force onto the inside of your rear foot. But we also need shoulder rotation, because as we start the takeaway, as this hip goes into internal rotation, the shoulders need to rotate. So we don't want this kind of movement. We don't want any early wrist set. We want a nice wide takeaway with our thumbs pointed out and our hip going into internal rotation. So we need good shoulder function. We've worked on T-spine extension, and in this video we're going to work on scapular function, because basically your shoulder is your scapula. And if your scapula is stuck, you really can't rotate that well. Now, you can try this. You can put your arm out and see if you can keep your elbow straight and move your scapula to the midline and down. If you can't, if you're stuck in this position, then it's going to be tough to rotate your shoulders, and it's going to be tough to get that nice takeaway into your backswing. So in this video, we're going to work on scapular function. So let's get started. So the first way to get some movement in your scapula is to begin to get some blood flow and some pliability into the muscles that are controlling your scapula. So we're going to do that with a tennis ball. Okay, so Cheryl's going to turn around. I'm going to show you where you're going to put it. So, you know, your scapula is that triangle, basically a shoulder blade. And here's the medial border of that bony structure. So you're going to place the tennis ball along this medial border, one spot at a time. And you're going to raise your arm over your head and breathe, and just feel which spots are more sensitive than others. You may find a trigger point. You want to stay on that spot and just breathe. Cheryl's going to show. I'm just going to hold it first. She's going to lay on the back now. So remember, we're on the medial border. We're starting at the top. And all Cheryl's going to do is move her arm around, kind of hunt around and see what hurts. Now that might be very sensitive, or it might not feel she might not feel much at all there. If you do feel a very sensitive spot and it hurts a lot, you know, you have to release the pressure a little bit. You don't want to be in too much pain. If you do find a trigger point, what you should do is just breathe into that trigger point. You can just take a deep diaphragmatic breath and release. And we recommend that you breathe in and out through your nose, right? Nasal breathing is very important for your health, and it also induces that deep diaphragmatic relaxing breath that's so important to a lot of things, particularly spinal alignment. So you can then roll that ball down a little bit or up a little bit, depending on what you want to do, and you just keep moving around. You find a spot that's painful, stay on it. Muscles that have trigger points or a little stiff, a little painful, they'll release the pressure as long as you keep that pressure on it for a little while. You don't want to be in a lot of pain, but you want to feel some pressure, and it will release eventually, but you got to stay with it. Now we're just doing this for a couple of minutes, or actually a couple of seconds for demonstration purposes, but you can spend some time doing this, 2, 3, 4 minutes, you know? All right? So that's number 1. In this video, Cheryl and I are going to show you a Scapula Rock. Now this is going to help you put more movement into your scapula, and it's really good to do this after you've done some soft tissue work in your upper back, okay? So we're going to get into a position where we're on all fours, and if you recall, if you've seen more of our videos, a basic rock is just this. Okay, you look up and then you look down. Okay, it doesn't matter how far you get back. If you can't go all the way back, that's fine. Okay, but what you're going to do is grab onto something. Then we're grabbing onto the edge of the platform. Now we're going to take a deep breath in and rock back. And we're going to stretch our back and try to get your head through your arms. And come up, look up, and back down. And we're just going to do this for 3 more repetitions. And back to the starting position, okay? So that's a great way to get some movement into your scapula to improve shoulder function. In this video, I'm going to give you an exercise to help you improve the way your scapula functions. Now, of course, there are a bunch of muscles in your upper back that control scapular movement. But one that's kind of overlooked is the serratus, and that's this muscle right here. That muscle also controls the way your scapula move, and you have to make that stronger as well. So you can do that with pulleys or a band. So I have a pulley band set up on this plyo box. So you're going to use this pulley system to work that serratus. So what I'm doing in this exercise is pressing up, let's say 45 degrees to the ceiling. And what I'm trying to do is really extend my fists as far as they can go forward. So I'm going to brace myself, screw my feet into the ground, squeeze my butt, get a good base to work against. And now I'm going to press this up as far as I can so that this muscle is working. So I'm not just pressing like this. I'm trying to extend all the way out and come back. I'm pressing up about 45 degrees. I'm extending as far as my scapula will let me upwards, and then I'm coming back. Press up and extend and back. Press up all the way, extend, and come back. You could also do this with one arm. So I'm going to do this with a one arm press. Again, 45 degrees up. I'm trying to extend this as far as I can and come down. Extend as far as I can and come down. So when you're doing that single arm serratus press, what you want to do is not rotate. So I'm not rotating. My shoulder's staying square to you, and I'm pressing that band up and working this muscle. So I'm extending as far as I can and coming back. I'm extending as far as I can, but I'm not rotating into it, and I'm coming back. So I'm extending as far as I can. I want this to work, the muscle right here. I'm extending as far as I can, so that's really lit up, and come back. Extend as far as I can, that's working, and I'm coming back. So a serratus press with a pulley system or a band, 2 arm or 1 arm is a great way to work the serratus, which is a muscle that also controls your scapula, and that'll help your scapular function improve. In this video, I'm going to show you a single arm scapular isolation pull. Now, this is going to help you get some movement in your upper back and your scapula. So what we're trying to do is begin to reverse the upper cross syndrome posture, which is that posture where your shoulders are dumped into your midline and you have some flexion in your upper back that might be a little bit too much, okay? So when you're stuck like this, it's really hard to rotate. So if you can't get this arm back, it's really hard to rotate into your backswing because you need scapular movement to get that full, nice, fluid backswing. Okay, you want to get that long backswing if you want a big drive. So you need this motion. So this exercise is going to help you strengthen the muscles in your upper back that control the scapula. Okay, let's get started. So I have a band attached to a pole. You could put a band around a door frame. You could do this with a pulley. Whatever you have that's stretchy, that you can actually stretch and retract your shoulder. So I'm going to keep my elbow stiff, straight. I'm going to brace myself into this position. Now I'm going to pull back on the band, but I'm only going to use my upper back to do it. So what I'm doing is drawing my shoulder blade or my scapula to the midline towards my spine and down. What I don't want to do is this, and I don't want to have any rotation. It's only your upper back and the muscles in your upper back that are doing this. You can do it for reps. You can hold it for a count, let's say of 4, 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, release, 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, release. What you don't want is rotation. So from the front, if I had the band going to you, it shouldn't look like this, and it shouldn't look like this. It's only your back moving the band. A scapular isolation pull is a great way to begin to strengthen the muscles that are controlling the scapula and reversing this upper crust syndrome, which is probably limiting your back swing.